Well, how do we transition to the next one? Um, Remember, kids, don't do drugs
Yes.
unless it's in another world, and you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
an unusually high tolerance.
Yes.
So this is one I picked out. So Daniel has seen 2 episodes. I have seen 4, and it's an anime called "No Longer Allowed in Another World."
Yes. And it's an isekai, but it's a little different isekai, which is always good because most isekai are really boring.
Right, like there's a lot of them that people enjoy where I watch an episode or two and I go, "This is just somebody's let's play of a game that doesn't exist."
Yeah.
And they aren't making any interesting choices.
Yeah.
But this one, it's okay. It's like isekai is such a played out genre at this point that the only thing you can like, if it's straightforward, it's probably because it was adapted 10 years later than you would expect. It's like how Shield Hero was one of the earlier ones in the current paradigm of how isekai work,
Mm,
but it actually got adapted like midway through the isekai craze, I would say.
yeah. Okay.
Um, but this one, so the twists this one has put on the genre are mostly down to the main character because it gets kind of close to an idea I've had for a while, which is why not have an isekai where the character dropped in the isekai has no concept of how video games work.
Yeah.
Uh, and they do this by having the character who I had to double check this. I thought everyone was just being very polite and deferential to him, but the only name he has is Sensei. Um, and the title is the character in the title itself are a reference to a turn or an early 20th century author named Osamu Dazai, who wrote a novel called No Longer Human. So that's where some of the reference to this comes from.
Yeah.
Who actually died by, and here's the thing: this show
Mm.
seems to it revolves around an act of self badness that if we mention this this could affect the channel or at least the reach of the video.
Yes.
And we've
Yeah.
been on kind of a roll lately, so I don't want to dissuade that. So
Yeah.
you can imagine what we're talking about. It is
Hmm.
very much about in Minecraft.
Yes. Yeah.
It is about logging out from Minecraft. And so for the rest of this, I'm going to refer to the act as logging out. And we all know what I mean.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, the Osamu, the real life author who this main character is loosely based on, died by lover's suicide. Damn it! I
Oh.
I just did the I just did I just did the Anchorman thing where I read what was in front of me instead of what I
Yeah.
needed. All right. Well, anyways, so the story starts off with Sensei about to log off with his girlfriend when
Yeah.
suddenly a truck bears down on them.
Yeah.
They were about to throw themselves into a river, but suddenly,
Yep.
and
I,
so he finds himself in another world, and he was immediately disinterested in what the pretty elf girl is telling him about this world. Like there is a dark lord who they summon people from the other world to come in and fight because people who come from the other world are given a supernatural talent that helps them in this fight.
yes, and he the truck is their method of transportation.
Yeah, the truck is like I think they called it the gathering truck or the summoning truck,
Summoning truck. Yeah. Yeah. I think those are those. Yeah.
the selection truck, something like that.
Yeah.
But so He, of course, is very much into logging off, and he is just sitting there eating pill after pill after pill. The elf girl is kind of concerned about this,
Yeah.
to put it mildly. And then she finds out that he actually doesn't seem to have any special talent. He just has 1 HP.
Yeah. One MP and no skills, and yeah.
Like, he is an NPC.
Yeah.
So this gloomy Gus proceeds to leave, and I believe the elf did not want him to leave because she was like, "Oh, you could get killed at any moment."
He's like, okay.
Because he wants to, because he thinks that his girlfriend has logged out.
Yeah.
Who, well, we don't really know anything about the girlfriend as of the episodes we've seen.
Right.
Uh, but he comes across that cat girl there, and the cat girl has been captured by a tree, and some very naughty tentacle things are going on there.
Yeah.
But he also gets captured by the tree, and that's when we find out his initial talent, which is I think it's because he is drugs himself so much that his blood is literally poison. So when the tree attempts to absorb his essence, it dies.
Yeah.
But like the whole logging out thing is such a recurring element in the show
Mhm.
that it's like he is gloomy. Like for an American audience, he comes across as like Edgar Allan Poe ish.
Yeah.
They find a coffin, and I guess because he's weak, the strong cat girl and the elf are just dragging him along in the coffin as they go about their adventures. That's how they get from place to place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And then the second episode, they go to the kingdom and they meet the king and the princess, and the princess has to choose a husband. She's
right,
got two
made two
candidates.
choices.
Made two choices. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it was a knight, Gomez, I think was his name, and then this pretty boy Bard.
right. And where the show seems to almost encourage logging off is that she chooses nobody because she's you know the the sensei had convinced her that she was better off logging off.
Yeah.
I believe that's almost the exact wording that she used.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that one of the suitors was an evil bastard. So
Yeah.
so they proceed to have a fight with him. And if I just stopped the show there, I would not have had a proper sense of what the show is really trying to do.
Mhm.
Because like those two episodes leave you with the impression that the show is pro logging off.
Yeah.
The next two episodes, which I think the pacing in this is being influenced by the fact that the first four episodes are most likely the first light novel,
Okay.
because it ends with you finally understand what the show is actually about.
Yeah.
Because like the title makes no sense if you just watch the first two or even three episodes. So
Yeah.
so the second episode, the third episode, you find out that the part of the problem that this world has is not just they have a dark lord that they have to summon humans to try to help them fight off.
Yeah.
Uh, it's also that the people who they have summoned have been corrupted by their supernatural powers and are a terror to the citizens.
Yeah. Yeah, they become yeah, they become quite arrogant and egotistical, I guess. Yeah.
Right, the villain of the second two episodes, like he shows up and his power is called pet. Like if he pats someone on the head, they become his mind controlled slave,
Oh.
which he uses on the cat girl immediately and the elf girl immediately. So our hero has to try to help them out.
Oh.
And then you find out. Then you find out once they've beaten him his sad backstory in our world, and you find out like so part of the reason that the main guy is an author is that he wants to know about these people he runs into who are so miserable because I guess he likes writing miserable things.
Yeah.
And, like because like they beat the villain and he's about to log himself out with a knife, but Sensei stops him. Wait, you can't until I've heard your whole story.
Yeah.
And then once he's heard the whole story, you find out that Sensei's power, he did actually get a power. It just only reveals itself when he's dealing with another human or another person from the other world, which is
Yeah.
basically he can send, it's return to sender basically. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Get out of our
Yeah.
world. So what it looks like the show is going to be about is, they go to a place, they encounter a evil human, and they send him home. They
Mhm.
also encounter, you didn't see this, a dragon woman who claims to, I believe she claims to be the Dark Lord. Who's
Uh,
so that is kind of unusual to have a show where that final boss actually reveals themselves that early.
yeah.
So I've kind of am a little bit conflicted on this one because this is very reminiscent of a show I reviewed last year called The Overly Cautious Hero.
Yeah. Yeah. I was getting that same feeling too. Yeah.
And I would say that that one is funnier,
Mm.
partially because it isn't dealing with logging off with a knife or logging off in general as a constant motif.
Yeah. 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 And the hero is actually somewhat relatable.
Right. Now, I will say this is not Yuji Every Teen, the indistinguishable Japanese nerd who shows up. Heck, even the villain, who seems like he's Yuji Every Teen, is
Yeah.
not, because he actually has he has a backstory that explains why he showed up and was corrupted by power.
Uh, yeah.
So this show has better character work than a lot of these isekai have. I'm just not sure it's for me. I think that I also would not recommend this as somebody's first isekai.
Mm.
But of course, anybody who's watching this, you've seen at least one. If you haven't, Shield Hero is your drug of choice. Watch the first season. You can skip the next couple because the show is basically over.
Yeah.
But like, this isn't a bad show. It's just I will probably get back to watching it. I'll also say, having tried both, I think the sub will do you better than the dub
Okay.
because there are some qualities that the voice acting in Japan like brings to it, like where there's like some stock animation voices that they go into,
Mhm.
and this guy's Sensei's voice has this gloomy quality that the English voice actor doesn't quite carry.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, this is an entirely average show.
Yeah.